and welcome to Our Ventura TV. I'm MB Hanrahan, and my guest today is Mary Kerrigan, Mary OK, which I love, and she is the director, the program director of Step Up Ventura, which has such a great ring to it. But what is it? Mary, what is your mission? Tell me.
Step Up Ventura provides therapeutic services and access to preschool and childcare for homeless children ages 0 to 5. That's our mission, and we also work with the parents. Our goal is for parents to have a safe place for their children to be during the day so they can go out, get jobs, get schooling, get some kind of an advancement on their careers and their life, and eventually get self-sufficiency and stable housing. Because we know that young children that don't have stable housing, that don't have predictable home life, are really affected in a very, very long-lasting way.
It can perpetuate the chain.
Yes, actually we look at that. We're breaking the cycle of homelessness because we know that young children who are homeless, if they aren't provided extra services and support to resolve the trauma of homelessness, they have an 80% chance of being homeless as adults. They end up going to school, not liking school because they're behind. They haven't had all the language development. They haven't been read books. You know, when you're living in a car or you're living in a motel from one week to another, or sofa surfing at someone's house and then someplace else, you don't have the kinds of things that children just automatically learn language. You don't have books. You don't have silverware. You don't have things that help children develop an understanding of their world and how to talk about it. And also, lots of times, you know, homeless parents are overwhelmed.
Yes.
They're scared. They're sometimes feeling hopeless and don't know what to do. And so
just survival and safety takes a huge amount of attention and effort.
Yes, and so because of that, the child is not given all of the kinds of experiences and even conversations about feelings and conversations about who they are and what they want to be when they grow up. You know, all those things that little children need to, you know, really have an experience of to have their brains develop. So a lot of what we're looking at is how can we intervene at an early enough time in a child's life that their brain development is going to be solid and secure, and their brain is going to be in place and ready for kindergarten and ready to learn.
So I'm sure people are like, whoa, there's no place, it's not going to where the kid is, so where would the kid be to have these services provided? What does this look like? What does your intervention look like?
Yes, well, we collaborate with local preschools and child care providers, family care providers. We collaborate with them to offer slots for our children to be integrated into a regular child care preschool program where they are going to meet peers that already maybe have had some of the experiences, early childhood experiences that have been beneficial. And then we provide one-on-one attention in the classroom, helping a child. Can I give you an example?
Sure.
We had a 4-year-old come in and we put them into a regular 4-year-old classroom. He didn't know how to hold a pencil. He didn't know what letters were. He didn't know, he didn't even have toilet training.
He hadn't had a lot of preschooling activities.
That's right. He hadn't had a home to be able to sit down and draw a picture. And so when he was given the kinds of tasks, you know, activities that most 4-year-olds love to do, you know, they color a picture or draw a picture or write their name, he didn't like it. He didn't want to do it. He was embarrassed. You know, we don't like feeling stupid. We don't like feeling embarrassed. We don't like not knowing what's going on. And that's the way he felt. And so he was resisting being in the classroom. He was resisting sitting down at the table with the other children. He was looking like a problem child. And that's what homeless children often look like when they're put into child care or preschool settings, and especially when they're put into kindergarten completely unready. So they end up looking like and being treated like problem children.
Right.
And so we provided a one-on-one time. Every time the child had that, task, or they did seat work, we had one-on-one attention given to him by one of our volunteers that showed him how to hold a pencil, showed him how to trace his name, and now he was so proud of himself, being able to be able to do the things that the other kids were doing at the table. And so those are the kinds of things we do academically, but we also help in this social way. We help children be able to understand how to play with toys and share them. Sometimes these are children that never had toys, and they might become very possessive of them or throw them instead of play with them.
Right.
And so we also help one-on-one attention, adult attention given to the child, to help them be able to navigate the social relationships of sharing and playing together, and being able to say, please don't do that, instead of just hitting or throwing.
You said volunteer, and nonprofits, are very volunteer driven.
Yeah.
And yet this also sounds really specialized. Could you be more specific about what kind of volunteers do you take? Could it just be anyone, or are there specific behavioral or psychological skills that people need?
Yes. Well, we have on staff, we have a mental health specialist, and I, as a program director, also have a long history of mental health work. And then we also have an early childhood education specialist. And these are people with quite a lot of training.
Sure.
And we provide training and orientation and videotapes, things like that, that the volunteers can watch.
Fantastic.
So we have volunteers, sometimes they're retired nurses, or sometimes they're, they've been school teachers, but we also have volunteers that just love children and really care about our mission and really want homeless children to get a fair, a fair start. And so it's a broad range of volunteers that come in, and we also have some interns from the local universities that are, students who are studying child development or students that are studying social work.
So as program director, briefly describe what you do
for
the organization.
Yes, I oversee the actual program on site. I look for other sites. I work with finding other programs that are interested in having our program, integrating our program into theirs. I do some fundraising, grant writing, things like that, of course. And I also do community education, like sit and talk with you, give people an idea of who we are, go to different groups in the community and let them know who we are, what we're doing, how people can help, how people can be involved, or just how people can spread the word. Because one of the most important things is finding the children.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you find these young people and their families?
Yes.
Where's the outreach?
Yes.
How does it go?
And we thought it would be so easy because there are 600 children that fall into this category in Ventura City, and about 6,000 in Ventura County. And our goal is to reach children throughout Ventura County, although right now we're focusing on Ventura and Oxnard, Simi Valley, that area. But there's a lot of children, so we thought we'll open our doors and the people will come. It's really hard. Homeless parents don't want to be in the vulnerable position of looking like bad parents. So sometimes we find parents who've been living in cars that hear about us. Sometimes a church, a parent, family will be asking for food, and a church will see that they have some young children and they'll refer to us. We get referrals from the social service agencies. We get referral from transitional housing programs. Once a family does get identified and maybe put in transitional housing, then they'll let us know, let the parents know. So it comes from a variety of places, but some of it is it's hard for homeless parents, to trust that they're going to be seen and respected as loving, caring parents.
Not have their kids taken away from them.
And not having their kids taken away.
Just to be straight up.
That's That's actually it, the fear that maybe their children will be taken away. And what we want to do is we want to provide a really safe environment and a predictable environment and an environment that goes all year round, Monday through Friday.
Oh, wow.
7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the evening. We really want everyone in the system, to see that these children are being well taken care of and that the parents are involved. I mean, we provide supportive services for parents maybe who have their own traumas and mental health, difficulties. We provide parent-child work so they can rebuild that relationship. Sometimes the relationship gets very hard when a child is fussing and hungry and a parent is worn out and tired and doesn't know where the next meal's coming from. That the relationship sometimes feels strained or stressed or just difficult. And so we also provide ways, activities and materials that they can go home with, that they can read books to their children or play a certain game with their child, things that help rebuild that strong bond.
And reinforce what the child has been learning.
Exactly. So for the child who ended up really loving write his name and thought words were really fun to write, we sent home paper because the parents didn't have paper. We sent home, pens and markers because that's something that just, the parents didn't have. So the child could show, sit down and show, the parent what, he had learned in school that day.
This just popped into my head. When you approach like a daycare or a preschool, what's the response? Is it that, because that's got to be part of the education program, I mean, outreach as well.
That is such a good question in that I have never had someone say, why would you want to do that? I have people saying, oh, what a great idea. Oh, yes, those children really need help. Yes, we really want to, help. It is difficult though, because many of these children, even if they're in Head Start, even if they're in specialized programs already, they get expelled. They get expelled from preschool at a higher rate than high school students. And a lot of it is because they push away. A teacher's trying to help them and they push away because they haven't had every adult in their life be kind or understanding or supportive, or they push other children. And so we really have to find places where the teachers are willing to get some additional training on how to work with traumatized children, how the teachers can be supported so they don't get worn out on this particular child or feel like this particular child is taking over the classroom or taking too much of their time and attention. So a lot of it is that we do find schools and family care providers that want to collaborate with us, but we do have to also be, respectful of the fact that it's a learning process for the teachers to, to be able to incorporate, the program into their program. So,
wow, it just. In thinking about people, it's easy to identify problems, and we can so quickly marginalize and make judgments on whole segments of people, not really knowing what the heck is actually going on. People want to serve the symptoms, and yet it does take work, and it takes a community support all around. Yes. So your ultimate goal with this program is just one child at a time, one family at a time, or?
Well, our goal is to do outreach as well. So we do have on-site programs, and we're always looking for other places, preschools, childcare, programs that want to take some, provide some slots, take some children. But we also have outreach, like we teach child development classes to high school students who are already parents of young children.
Great.
And they get high school credit for taking child development, and they bring their child to class, and everything they learn about child development, they have activities to practice with their child in class. So we're doing those kinds of things to really prevent homelessness and prevent school failure with young homeless children. We really want to prevent that. We want children to go to kindergarten feeling successful already, feeling confident, and being able to keep up. So we do the outreach as well.
Mary, I cannot believe how the time has flown. This is really important work. how do people get in touch with you and your organization, Step Up Ventura?
Okay. We have a website.
Very
it's
good.
very easy. It's www.stepupventura.org. And it's a great website. It keeps people up to date on events that are coming up. It has a button for volunteering. You know, there's ways to get involved by going to the website. We also have a newsletter that goes out periodically, about quarterly, and if people want to send in their email address, we can put them on the newsletter, and that also gives an idea of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, and then also what some of our long-term goals and needs are. Personally, program@stepupventura.org is my email,
Very
and will
good.
get to me, and I'd be happy to talk to anyone further.
Thank you so much, Mary. And thank you for joining us on Our Ventura TV. I'm MB Hanrahan, and I'll be seeing you next time.